There's something special about you. I can see it. You have a gift, and you have to decide what you want to do with it.
Woodlawn is an incredible true story that happened, in the town that I grew up in, Birmingham, Alabama. And it's a story of a high school that was going to close because of violence due to integration.
What would you say if I told you it doesn't have to be this way? What would you be prepared to do? I'm asking you right now to stand up and make a decision to change.
An undeniable, incredible true story, man, about a group of guys on a football team in a city that was just upside down, end up giving their life to the Lord, and it changed their whole heart, man. It changed the whole team.
The good book says, without a vision, the people perish. I say, go give it to them.
In the midst of all that, there was this young kid, Tony Nathan, that was a junior in high school. And he was this kind of quiet, reluctant hero.
You know the difference between you and these people? They're cowards, and you ain't.
All I was doing is what the good Lord gave me the ability to do. And I just wanted to, like some people do once you get through with your career, just fade off into the sunset and go about your business and enjoy your family. But I guess the good Lord had another plan for me. I caught maybe the tail end of, the chaos. We caught the tail end of it. They pretty much kept us away from it. And as you get older and you start doing different things, you start being more adventurous, and you end up finding some things that you saw on TV, but you really didn't think it was still, people were still actually trying to, I guess, hand it down.
Back in 1962, that's when it was rough. And I told these kids, I said, well, Daddy said, you think I'm gonna be able to make it? I said, yeah. We're gonna pray, you're gonna make it.
Birmingham needed a place to heal. They needed a fixed point to get past all that had happened, or to begin to get past all that had happened in the 60s. And the city had been ripped apart. The first place of healing really became the football field. And somehow it was through this reluctant young man, Tony Nathan, that became that beacon of hope.
Look at me. I'm proud of you. Win or lose, you're my son.
For me, the biggest thing as an actor was playing an introvert, because I have an extrovert personality. But, that's who Tony is. He's a listen first, then speak guy.
Birmingham, Alabama needed a first. Needed a first black superstar to show the way for others to follow. And that is what Tony Nathan did. And that was an incredibly heroic thing for an incredible, humble, quiet man.
Some people made you feel like you didn't belong. A lot of folks' parents didn't feel like they wanted blacks in the school with their kids. As far as bringing the city itself racially together, people start coming to the games and watching games. Once you get them in the same place and they see how everybody else reacted, eventually it's like, hey, he ain't so bad, he's not a bad guy once you get to know people.
Nobody out there knows what's happened with this team.
But when you win on this day, they will!
With the team, there was a chaplain that came in and started working with the team, and a kind of a spiritual revival, kind of, a spiritual awakening experience kind of happened with the team, and the team rallied around this kid, and this kid went from being, quiet nobody that liked basketball more to becoming, the first African-American superstar to come out of the high school system in Birmingham.
Kind of like the glue part of it, where everybody started accepting people for who they were, not for the color of their skin.
Through all of that, crazy things started happening. They started winning so many games, and And then they grew this rivalry between them and the Banks School, and ended up playing the biggest game in the history of high school football in Alabama.
What's interesting about it is that the kind of spiritual awakening that started at Woodlawn High School, the changes that happened at Woodlawn High School, they took to their rival Banks High School that they hated. Jeff Rutledge was a quarterback, and the same thing started happening at that school. And both those teams started to just head on a collision course together. And again, not to see two teams, but to see two players.
You know, 42,000 people at Legion Field, 20,000 people couldn't get in. And they knew that they could be a beacon of hope for their city. They knew that they could bring people together through football.
Well, the game was good. Banks won the game. But Tony, they keyed in on him. That was their focus, just to keep Tony from running the ball.
And that bothers me to this day, that Jeff got the upper hand on me in high school. But find out what somebody care about. And that's how you, pretty much most of the time, you can reach people. And sports, and well, definitely football at that time, I think it did reach the city.
How many black players you got?
Not nearly enough.
Why you see that changing?
Because it's time.
He actually said it's about that time. And I was like, well, Coach, I mean, you ask him, it's like, why me? He said the school needs players like you. But there are a lot of other ones. He said, but no, you want to try to go and get the best of. We'll settle for the rest. But if we can get the best to come, things will change, you know, quicker than they would if you had to wait on somebody to get themselves ready to go.
Unless they give it to Davis, they give it to Nathan. Nathan dives, and he's in there. Touchdown.
I said, now, Lord is opening the doors for you. Don't let him down. He gonna look out for you. You're gonna do your part.
What's cool and just fitting with the story of reconciliation, those two players, Tony Nathan taking on Jeff Rutledge, became, you know, the quarterback tailback combo at the University of Alabama under Bear Bryant, and won a historic national championship in 1979, you know, that became known as the goal line stand.
Hands up the middle to Gooman. Alabama's Barry Krause in a fantastic effort meets Gooman head on. No gain again, and Alabama has held. With a delirious Alabama crowd surging onto the field, Tony Nathan gets the final call for Alabama, and the battle for national supremacy ends in the Tide's favor, 14-7.
You know, it makes you smile. So, you know, you become a part of that elite group to walk around and say you were a national champion. Everybody can't say it.
He just kept on rolling. It didn't stop. You know, his career was good at the pros, just like it was. Woodlawn was good, Alabama was good, and the Dolphins.
Been great. I mean, the whole thing, you know, it's an experience that everybody don't get to live. Ain't no better feeling. I mean, it's like you dreaming. But as far as people talking about making a movie of what I did, because I just was given the ability to do, it blew me away. It still does.
So one of the big things in the movie that we're dramatizing is the largest game to ever be played on a high school level in the state of Alabama. 42,000 people were here, 20,000 people couldn't get in. Alabama and Auburn used to play here all the time. Bear Bryant coached a ton here. So we're dramatizing the event in the stadium that it happened. It's still kind of almost just as it was in the 70s, which is awesome for us.
As a filmmaker, you have to have, you know, certain dramatic liberties to try to, you know, piece somebody's life story into a 2-hour window. But we wanted to tell as much of, you know, it rooted in the reality of what happened, because it is a powerful true story that doesn't need to be Hollywoodized.
Action!
I think if I had to wrap up the story of Woodlawn in 2 words, I think it'd be about destiny and hope, you know, and that in the darkest of situations, in the darkest of times, you know, there can be hope.
it's going to be a wake-up call, but it's also going to be a blueprint. Knowing how to allow love to be the common denominator in a lot of these circumstances that we have going on in our nation right now. So that's the biggest thing to me, is that people leave the film either changed or wanting to change.
I would say that it's something that, you know, if you get the true message out of it, it will make you think, you know, whether if you believe or not. So, I mean, it's big. It's a bigger message than me.
This is what happens when God shows up.